Todd, Mishawaka Fire spoke with us not too long ago. They did tell us they had to pull out several people and animals from these apartments, but luckily everybody got out safe. Right now, fire crews are just kind of hanging out here, monitoring, looking through the place, making sure no hot spots flare up. They believe it actually started in that middle apartment there where you're looking at right now. All the school buses are going to be outfitted with 2 of these cameras, one facing forward, one facing backward. The job of those cameras is to catch anybody who decides to pass this sign. Looks like a 2-car accident, possibly involving a car that was also parked on the road here. You can see the tow truck, South Bend Police out here. That's when park staff first found the damage to the playground, but the area hardest hit was this bathroom right here. Luckily for Mishawaka Police, though, the whole thing was caught on camera. Here's what it looked like before, and now it looks like this. The insignia ripped from the grave of Martha Beatty, and the robbers didn't just stop there. They also ripped one of the insignias from the grave of Pearl Beatty, who, according to online records, is Martha's daughter. And Todd, fire officials say this could have ended a whole lot worse. Right now, investigators are combing over this scene, trying to piece together exactly what happened. This memorial to Olivia, Mason, and Xavier serves as a permanent reminder of what happened along this stretch of State Road 25. It is a somber night here on the Notre Dame campus as the Fighting Irish weren't able to pull off that big win. But a new fire tax would be implemented to cover the cost. With millions of dollars in debt and no way to borrow more, Benton Harbor Schools has a decision to make. The deadline to submit it is just 2 days from now. Guys, Animal Control says the cat was clean and didn't seem to be used to the outdoors. Snow has just continued to fall, the wind's blowing, conditions are continuing to deteriorate. On the roads here in Plymouth, this is along Indiana 17, still has a thin layer of snow. Roads just around here are very slick with this freezing rain still coming down. I'm actually near Grape Road across from the University Park Mall. You can see Toll Road moving slowly. Traffic's moving okay now. Drivers still taking it slow though, especially after today's coating of ice. Not only did the fire cause some significant damage, but so did the water that was used to fight it. They were since have been taken to local area hospitals. We're told that their injuries are only minor. Yeah, it is, Todd. A lot of people here cashing in gift cards and, of course, returning gifts. Investigators believe that the 2 dead are mother and son. 3 others were also injured in this accident, including a baby. Police wouldn't say specifically what the relationship was between the alleged killer and his victim, but a family member tells us the girl who died was 6 months pregnant. Now, if convicted, Trejo could face upwards of 80 years in jail. We are just steps away from where her body was found, but as you can see, people have been dropping off things like teddy bears and flowers, all to remember this young life taken too soon. A lot of people here in this community are shaken and grieving the loss of that 13-year-old boy. He was actually a student here at Winnemac Community Middle School. Several area churches opened their doors tonight, including this one, the Winnemac Nazarene Church. Mayor and the assistant police chief are more than likely going to be facing questions about that tonight, along with allegations that were published in the South Bend Tribune last week. Now, school officials say no bus routes will actually be changed, but those buses are going to be heading out a little bit earlier to make sure they make their pickups in time. The suit is asking the judge to prevent the county from allowing the nativity scene on courthouse property in the future. The crime scene tape is gone now, but all that's left is a teddy bear and some flowers.
So I just wanted to bring a little bit of beauty back to sort of a darker space right now.
This woman placing flowers, trying to come to grips with what happened in this alley. 17-year-old Brianna Rushling was last seen late Saturday night. Her mother told investigators she was meeting up with the father of her unborn child, 16-year-old Aaron Trejo. It was the last time she would see her daughter alive. A few hours later, police were at Aaron Trejo's door. The police found bloody pieces of Brianna's clothing in this alley. Trejo later told investigators that he stabbed her in the heart, put her in a plastic bag, and took her body down this alley. Investigators say Trejo then took her body wrapped in that plastic bag and put it in this dumpster. Police say in an effort to cover his tracks, Trejo threw her cell phone and the murder weapon in the river. Police later recovered her body out of that dumpster and immediately questioned Trejo. According to court documents, the two were having a fight because Trejo was upset he didn't know about the pregnancy sooner. When asked what he did, he said, quote, "I took action. I took her life." He told investigators he brought the knife and garbage bag from home and said he, quote, had been planning and thinking about killing Brianna and the baby for about a week.
It's heartbreaking. You don't think of something that tragic happening so close to home.
An autopsy confirmed Brianna died from multiple stab wounds. Investigators also discovered that she had been strangled with a scarf.
It's a terrible thing that happened in this neighborhood to someone who's very, very bright.
See right there?
It's often said that beauty
Perfect.
is in the eye of the beholder. And that's exactly what photographer Josh Fairbanks wants to get across.
You would think that we would be moving forward as a society with people being able to feel like they can be who they want to be and they can be strong and independent. And I think there is a sense of that in some regard, but then there's almost a bit of a counter movement against that.
So in order to stomp that counter movement, Josh came up with the athlete glam shots, showcasing girls who love the game and the glam.
If there's a slogan for what we're going for here, it's really that. You don't have to be the damsel in distress because you're pretty or because you want to wear a dress. You can go out there and put on some heels and you can still kick butt.
And his subjects, most of whom are middle and high school girls, agreed.
I think that showing beauty through athletics displays like an image of we're more than just the pretty dresses and all the makeup and the hair.
The images have become popular on social media. Josh says he's received numerous inquiries since the first shoot just about 2 weeks ago. Model Chloe Simmons says she thinks the message resonates with a lot of people.
The images show that athletes are more than just tomboys. They can be any other person they want to be.
3, 2, 1.
And Josh says he hopes these
3, 2,
pictures will
1.
inspire other kids to just be themselves.
You don't have to fit in whatever cookie cutter mold somebody wants to put you in. You can be the princess and you can be the hero of the story.
And Josh does have openings available. For more information, you can head over to our website at WSBT.com. In Coloma, Max Lewis, WSBT 22 News.
African American students are 3.5 times more likely to be suspended or expelled than their white classmates.
Those numbers are from the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights. Schools in our area are no exception. WSBT 22's Max Lewis shows us how officials here are working to curb those numbers.
In South Bend, statistics show African American students are disproportionately suspended compared to their white peers. Many of those students end up in jail, forming what is known as the school-to-prison pipeline. Now, South Bend school officials are working to close that school-to-prison pipeline for good. Other. It's a broad term. The dictionary defines it as different in nature or kind. It can encompass so much, and it's also the #1 reason children in South Bend schools are suspended.
Data shows that in our South Bend Community School Corporation, that there's this whole list of other, and children get suspended from school for other.
Marla Godet is a home-based therapy provider. She works with kids who have been suspended from school.
I have had clients suspended for sharing chicken nuggets. I've had clients suspended for tapping pencils. I've had clients suspended for wearing a jacket that he thought was a sweater.
According to a study commissioned by South Bend schools, the other category beats out things like profanity, drugs, vandalism, and even fighting.
To be terminated for 3 days because you shared food should not be on the same level as to be terminated for 3 days because you fought someone. And I'm finding that my clients, this is the standard that they're held to.
But there's another part of this that Marla says is concerning, but not out of the ordinary. Just over 1/3 of students at South Bend schools are African American.
yet they account for nearly 2/3 of the district's suspensions. We also looked at suspension numbers by race in other area school districts, including Elkhart, Concord, Penn Harris Madison, and Niles. In all those districts, African American students were suspended at higher rates than white students. And it's not just the racial disparity. When you compare numbers between South Bend schools and the largest district in the state, Indianapolis Public Schools, South Bend suspends a higher percentage of its overall students.
Considering the size of the school district and the amount of suspensions, it just doesn't add up.
Out-of-school suspensions needs to be a last resort.
South Bend and other school systems have had this problem for years, and South Bend has been working to address it. That's where Nathan Boyd comes in. He's only the second person to be the director of African American Student and Parent Services at South Bend Schools, and he's a former principal.
We do not want to have this automatic system where all children, all schools are looking at a piece of paper and their very first and only tool is an out-of-school suspension.
The school district has begun to implement what it calls restorative justice. It's a process of working alongside students to solve their problems and moving away from ultimatums and zero-tolerance policies.
School-to-prison pipeline has been built on as these automatic responses, these no-way-out type rules, and getting our kids involved in a legal system way before they really need to be.
So that's how you classify it.
Boyd says the district will also be working on providing training to teachers on how to approach kids who've experienced trauma. The trauma can include things like living in poverty and experiencing domestic violence.
Teachers go to college to teach. They want to help children. They want to love children. They want to feel like I can make a difference, right? No one's teaching you about the hungry kid who can't pay attention, or the kid who just witnessed his mom get beat up and drugged down the street.
Godette and Boyd say the important thing is keeping kids in school and off the streets, where the likelihood of them ending up in jail is high. Both acknowledge that change is needed.
I do believe that we're at a point in not just South Bend, but in other school districts that I've dealt with. It's time for out with the old. It's just time.
Boyd has recently hired a certified trainer that can educate teachers about working with kids who've been through these traumatic experiences. He says changes in a school district the size of South Bend's will take time, but he acknowledges how important those changes are. In the studio, Max Lewis, WSBT 22 News.